Let's talk music producing, music production, and song production. In fact, we're going to really focus on song production in this particular video. When I talk about music producing or music production, that is a very, very broad term, and there are a lot of things that fall under that. Let's get into some specifics about producing a song. Now, I want to show you a song that I co-wrote with the singer. I want to just go through the entire song and show you some production tips that might help you on your music. A lot of these tips are pretty straightforward, as the song is pretty straightforward, but there are a lot of details in this. Often when I produce a song, I will see it in a visual sense. So I'll see it as a piece of art, like a painting, where there's a lot of details in some painting. Now, I know that there are minimalist art out there, and there's an appreciation for that as well in music. But often there is very detailed pictures that just make the picture come alive with detail. And that's the way I see music too. So I see details in music very much the same way. So whether it's the intro, whether it's the segue from a chorus to a bridge or a verse to a chorus, I see every segue as an opportunity to add something. And then even during the verse and the chorus, what can be done in those situations? Let's jump into this song, and I will give you a few tips that you can use on your next song production. In this song here, when I sent it to the singer, I just had an acoustic guitar track. It had an intro, verse, and chorus. So it was very simplified. And then she came up with lyrics and a melody. Once we got the lyrics and the melody, I did the bed track with an acoustic guitar, and then we built it from there. So often I will hear in my head the direction the song needs to go or how it's going to sound. And then there are other times I will have to wait for things to develop and shape it and mold it as we go along. But I'm always, even if I hear it in my head, I'm still shaping and molding and looking for little fine tunings and details, like I just mentioned, that will really make the song come alive. So I'm going to play this track here, and it starts off with acoustic. And the idea here was to have the first verse and the first chorus be a little more subdued, just lay back a little bit. So there's an acoustic guitar, a drum loop, a tambourine, and the vocal, and that's it for the first verse and chorus. And let's start that, and then I will talk about some of the ideas here.
Gotta wipe those tears far away from your eyes. By the words that you heard, it's no surprise that you're hurt and you're down, but you're not gonna tap out yet.
Okay, so for this first part here, when I initially recorded it, I was just going to do acoustic guitar and voice, but it was a little too barren. It was a little too empty, and I was trying to think of a few things that I could add to it. I thought, well, maybe a little organ or a synth, pad kind of sound, but it really wasn't grabbing me. And then I thought, well, I'll try a drum loop. So I went into Pro Tools, and there's a plugin called Boom. It has a bunch of different beats on it. So I found one that was pretty close and changed it up a little bit just to meet what I needed to do on here. You can hear the vocals at a couple places where she stopped singing, where I did some vocal throws with like maybe two echoes on it, one stronger and one a little bit lighter. So there's a couple tips there. You know, I didn't know if a drum loop would work, but when I put it on here, it really did, and it kept it moving, but it still keeps a very subdued sentiment there.
You've been thrown down and tossed aside, 'cause you've been sold a pack of lies, 'cause you're stronger.
Now, the original chords that I sent her did not have a break there. I put the break in there just to change it up a little bit. In fact, I have 3 breaks in the song to just break it up. Pardon the pun.
Then you might think you got the power in you. Just let it shine through, 'cause you're stronger than you might think. Chin up, you know it's true. You got the fire in you. No more victim, tell them something that they never knew. It's time to show 'em.
Here comes a break.
What you can do.
I want to stop right there. Okay, there's two things I want to mention. The first thing is I did not add a vocal throw right there. Now, the other thing I want to mention is when I first started mixing this, I had the acoustics cranked, I had her voice cranked, I had the loop cranked, and when we got to the big part where the band comes in, it fell flat because everything was so loud on the intro that the energy with the band coming in just wasn't there because all the energy was in the volume of that first mellower part. So I had to pull all that down so it gave room for the band to come in with some high energy. Now I'm going to get into some detail stuff here. And this, to me, it's simple stuff, but it's very detailed. It's thought out. Like everything I did on this track was thought out with intention and purpose. The breaks, the vocal throws. The vocal throws sometimes can come off as cliche, but they work in many situations. The other thing I want to say is I don't have a lot of really fancy ear candy in here because this song is basically it's a pop rock song based on a Kelly Clarkson style sound. And this is pretty much straightforward. So the stuff that I'm doing is more detailed in the instrumentation and different things like that, as you will see coming up here. So when the band comes in, I have two electric guitars playing. There's not a lot of instrumentation on this track. There's like four or five guitars, not including the acoustics. There's only two acoustics playing there. But there's 4 or 5 guitar tracks and bass and drums. Huge drum set. We'll cover that in a second. The left electric guitar is doing open E sus chords on one side. On the other side, the guitar is playing a bar chord on the 7th and 9th fret, the E sus. So, and that's panned left and right. And then when the vocals come in, the guitar stops playing chords and just does a low E chunk thing going on. And you'll see what I mean. Let's listen to the segue again.
It's time to show 'em what you can do.
Really driving it. Bass is coming up.
Lift up your eyes. Keep your focus straight ahead.
Chunk on the guitar.
Don't listen to the words that we say.
A sus2 and B sus2 to break it up a little bit.
Stand up, 'cause you can't stop fighting yet.
Here we go into a pre-chorus.
No, not yet. 'Cause you've been thrown down and tossed aside, but you've been sold out.
Come into another break. Okay, what I want to talk about here, we go into a break, and then when we hit the chorus, I keep the guitars, the main rhythm guitars you just heard are just going to do down chords on the one, and then I have an arpeggiated guitar doing a counter melody happening in there. So that's adding just a little bit of melody and feel to the song. But listen to what the drums do. The drums, when he goes to his hi-hat, he does this offbeat thing. And it's just a little, something really small, but it works really well. And I think he did this, 1 or 2 takes. So it wasn't that many takes to get this down. I really like it. In fact, I didn't catch it when we were tracking it. My studio is above my garage, and we were recording the drums down in my garage. And I have another video talking about tracking drums in the garage that had some great sound. So check that out. I'll put a link somewhere up here. What he did was it just adds a layer of detail. And I'm going to keep saying that word detail, but it's so important. There's the chime guitar with a counter melody, little hook there. Just a little edgy guitar there doing the same thing. Now, I do want to mention the vocals. The very first verse there, the vocals, mainly the melody was going, and then she would tag some harmonies at the end of a phrase. Here we are in the chorus, and she's brought the harmonies in. So you can see a progression here. First verse, first chorus, acoustic, small loop, and then we build it into that second verse, full band, second chorus, we build up even more. And then after we go out of this chorus, we're going to go into a guitar solo, and it's going to just keep building. It's like walking up a set of stairs. You're climbing higher and higher.
'Cause you're stronger.
There's that hi-hat.
Than you might think.
Drummer's perspective.
You got the power in you. Just let it shine through. 'Cause you're stronger than you might think. Should not know it's true. You got the fire in you. No more victim down. Something that they
Going to build into the solo with a big drum fill.
Show 'em what you can do.
So he does a big drum fill, and on one of the electric guitars, I just go chunka chunka with his fill there.
Time to show 'em what you can do.
So on this solo, the guitars, I still doing the downbeat on the one, holding those chords out for the most part, and letting the solo have more space to work in there. And there's a couple things I want to mention. So listen to the drums here. What he does, he goes to the ride, which just opens up the whole section for this solo. It just opens it up and it drives it. The other thing is, when I worked up this solo, I just had these initial chords here, E, A, B, and C sharp, and a variation of those. And about halfway through the solo, I was getting like, okay, this is going nowhere. I'm not feeling it. So I had the first part was great. What you're hearing is the very first part. I think I did 2 or 3 takes on the solo. The third take was when I changed the chord progression. So the chord progression on the solo for the first half is very typical. But then when I get halfway through, I change it to a G, which sounded to me the very first time I did it very abrupt. But what happened was I went to G to A, C, D, E, back into the chorus. And you'll hear it here in a second. And what it does, it builds, and it builds anticipation. And it basically takes it where when the vocal comes in, she knocks it out of the park with the vocals, with some ad-libs and things like that. So let's take a listen to that. Now, I hope I'm not boring you, but this is detail stuff, how music is produced and the little details that you produce in the song to take your song to the next level. And it's all simple stuff. Very U2-ish edge, kind of. So this is the basic part here. You can come up to the G. That was so abrupt when I first did it. A, C, D. Home run! She knocked it out of the park there. Okay, so I just want to talk about that. When she comes in with that ad-lib and the drum fill on the snare there, that is killer. And then the guitar, I'm playing octaves, pretty clean sounding, and just goes up high. And so everything's building up to a crescendo into the last chorus, where there's lots of harmonies. And I do want to say that we do not use auto-tune when I record with her. She's very much a perfectionist. If she doesn't sing it on tune, she'll re-sing it. So we don't use auto-tune as an effect or so much for pitch. I've never had to. And I'm not knocking those that do, but with her, she's a professional, and she just does really, really great work. So we're coming out of here, and she's knocking it out of the park with what she's doing on her vocals. Everything's ramping up. So you see the progression from the very start of the song to the end of the song, and every section just keeps building and building and building. So let's just listen to this ending, and it's a fade out. We do actually have an ending where we all end at the same time, so I could mix it that way too. Hi-hat.
Just let it shine and through. 'Cause you're stronger than you might think. Should not know it's true. You got the fire in you. No more victim down. Something that they never knew. It's time to show 'em. Lord, it's time to show 'em.
She sings with so much emotion and passion. Okay, so that she's a powerhouse singer, and the drummer's kit is huge. He's got 5 toms on his kit, a single bass, but he has got the double bass pedal, lots of cymbals, and if I can find a picture, I'll throw it up here to show you what it looked like on the session day. But yeah, so anyway, those are the production tips on producing a song. Now, there's lots of other things you can do. These are straightforward. It's just a matter of being mindful, being intentional with what you're wanting doing with the song. Now, some songs, when I write them, they just kind of work out, and from start to finish, they are what they are. But this one took a little bit more finessing. We had the structure of the song, so that the only thing that changed was on that guitar solo part where I take it to the G, A, C, D, E, and it just kept climbing up. That was the only thing that I really changed in the song from the original song that I wrote. Hopefully this was helpful. I'd love to hear in the comments below some of the tips and tricks that you do, because I don't know everything. I just do what I do. Some things work, some things don't work. Hopefully more things work than not. But anyway, leave a comment below on what you do. I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. If you're not a subscriber, would you please subscribe? And if you found this video helpful, would you just hit the like button down there? Thank you so much. This is Bret. See you in the next video. Have a great day.